Okay, welcome to Tuesday, the beginning of our class week. We had a PD day yesterday, so hopefully you either took a little time off for yourself and caught up on other things in your life, or you caught up on some homework. I'm starting a new unit today. I don't know if you are, so you might be watching this a couple of days from now, maybe even a week or so from now. I would really like people to, hi Tim, nice to hear from you again. I'm not sure if you are ready to start the stats unit, but again, you can watch these videos whenever you're ready to watch the videos, right? If you're not finished with geometry, then you finish, or it's sort of up to you. If you want to start the stats unit and then go backwards and finish up geometry, to the school website, click on my blog, and all the info that you need for my classes on my blog, all the posts, and I gave you the link before, Tim, but all the posts, all the assignments, all the units, all the info you need for this class, everything you need for the class is on the blog. Okay, so we're going to start statistics. And as I said, this is a fairly small unit compared to the others. So you can see there is only 4 lessons and then a unit review. So we're going to start on lesson 1 today. And it's called the Measures of Central Tendency, which is a big fancy name. It's a fancy name for something that I think you probably already know a little bit about. And what we're talking about when we talk about the statistics refers to this big field of study. And the field of study is statistics study large group numbers. Why would we want to study large groups of how many Canadians there are, how many Canadians in each province, the age of Canadians? They divide the Canadians into age categories: infants, children, youth, young adults, et cetera, et cetera. Why is information like that important? Well, it helps us to plan for the future, right? Make sure we have enough schools, make sure we now have enough medical services and hospitals. You can see even in this pandemic, they're breaking down the COVID stats, people who have COVID by age bracket, right? Because different age brackets or age categories respond to the disease and then to treatments differently. So it's really important to know those statistics. Statistics also measure things like unemployment rates. They measure temperature, right? Which is important if we're studying climate change. So being able to understand large groups of numbers is really important. When you have millions of pieces of data, like millions of numbers, and you want to make sense of them, you're just trying to organize them. And one of the ways to organize them is to talk about the measures of central tendency. Is basically to group the numbers, and we're trying to find the middle number, right, of a large group of numbers, the average. And there are 3 ways we do that. Okay? So lesson 1, measures of central tendency. It talks about the word average. We often use the word average to describe what measure we might normally expect in a given situation. So we've all used that word average. We'll say the average weight of a baby is about 7 or 8 pounds. My bus is usually an average of 10 minutes late. Averages don't describe extremes. They describe the middle of a set of numbers. So that's kind of a nice sentence. The average describes the middle. So when we have this huge amount of data that we're trying to sift through and make sense of, we kind of try to look for middle values, because that gives us an idea of what the rest of the data looks like. In statistics, the averages are called measures of central tendency. We will start this unit by examining 3 measures of central tendency: the mean, the median, the mode. Okay? Now, you might have heard of these words before. If you have, that's kind of nice, because some of this might be familiar for you. None of these statistical cases, each one of the mean, the median, the mode, describes the middle or the average of the data in a different way. So when we talk about the average baby weight, or my bus is usually on average, that word average is actually the real name for it. I guess the scientific name is called the mean. It's kind of a funny name, right, for a math statistic, but that's what it's called, the mean. Now, to calculate the mean, we add up, we find the total of all of the scores, all of the pieces of data, and then divide by the number of scores. So the mean is very easy to calculate. If I'm given a group of data here, let's just look at this. This group of data, because any set of numbers can be referred to as data, right? This group of data is a set of, okay, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 temperatures. It almost looks like sort of the temperatures that we're facing right now, right? Because it gets kind of cold still at night. It dips below 0. And then in the daytime, these are kind of our temperatures. So this could be weather that we're experiencing right now. All right, this group of data is a set of 5 temperatures. To find the mean, if I want to find the average of these temperatures, what I do, it says we add up all of the scores, or in this case, their temperatures. So I add them all up. Okay, so I have to total them all first. I'm going to remind you to total them all first by bracketing them off. The brackets are my sign to you that you have to add them up first before you do the division. So the instructions say, add up all the scores, then divide by the number of scores. Well, there were 5 of them. So I total all the scores, then I'm going to divide by 5. All right, so what do we get? Pull your calculator out. 8 plus 14, plus 6. Plus 10 plus 0, I get a 38 as the total. Then I'm going to divide by 5, and I get 7.6. Now I should use the units that they gave me, degrees Celsius. So if this was the set of data that I was studying, I would say the mean temperature is 7.6 degrees Celsius. Okay, that's it. So the mean is not that difficult to calculate. Oops, sorry. The mean is not that difficult to calculate if you have a calculator, right? You definitely need a calculator for this unit. You just add up all of the scores, divide by the number of scores. This becomes difficult if you have a large group of data, right? If you have hundreds of pieces of data, it gets very difficult. In that case, we probably wouldn't be using a hand calculator. We'd be using a computer program like an app like Excel, and you would have someone data entry this in, and then you would get your average that way. Excel, that app, Excel has lots of formulas embedded in it and prescribed inside the app to calculate the average. All right, let's find the next mean. So the mean is not that difficult. It's just adding up all the data and dividing by the number of pieces of data. Find the mean weight for the baby weights shown below. All weights are in ounces. Okay, so how many baby weights do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 weights in total. Okay, so now I have to add them all up. The mean equals, already it's getting harder, right, to record this because there's 8 of them, so it takes longer to write out. I'm writing it out because I'm showing my work to you. Okay, brackets are to remind you that you have to sum total that first and divide by 8, right? So let's see what this total ends up being. Oops. Okay, so I got 945 on the top, and I still have my 8 on the bottom. So this time I get 118 point. I'm going to round to 2 decimals this was my actual answer, 0.125. But when I round, I will round to 0.13. So the average or mean, these two words mean the same. So you'll kind of see throughout this unit that we kind of jump back and forth between these words, but remember that they mean the same thing. The average or mean weight is 118.13, and they said it was ounces. Okay, so that's it. Not a hard concept to understand. It's just knowing what to do. So this is something you would have recorded on your study sheet, right? If this was a regular class, you would have this, a little example and maybe a definition of what the average or mean weight is. Okay, so then there's the 3 M's, right? The mean, which is also called the average, the mean, the median, and the mode. So we're going to flip the page, and now we're going to talk about the median. Okay, so this is the second measure of central tendency. The median doesn't involve a formula. Let's see what it does involve, though. To find the median, first sort the data, list the numbers in order from lowest to highest. The data isn't always given to you in order, so they're basically saying order the data, right, from small to big. The median is the value of the middle number in the ordered list. If there is no middle number, then you use the mean of the middle pair of numbers. Okay, that's a bit confusing now, but we'll see what that looks like. So let's see. Find the median temperature for 8, 14, 6, 10, and 0. I think that's the same group of data we had before. Well, let's see. First, we order the values, the temperature, right? Because they're not given to you in your order. So go small to big. So the smallest would be 0. Okay, and then I have, I'll go 0 degrees Celsius. And then my next one would be 6 degrees Celsius. So I've got 0 taken care of, 6, then it would be 8 degrees Celsius. And then 10 degrees Celsius and 14 degrees Celsius. Okay. So I have an odd number of data. I have 5 pieces of data. That means I will have a middle value. So it says the median is the value of the middle number. Well, the middle number in this list is the 8, right? This is the middle number. The median is the middle number in a group of ordered numbers. So the word ordered means they're put in order, right? One of the ways, if you've got a really huge list of numbers and you don't know if it's an odd or even number, what you can do is you can start at the ends, right? And just say, put your fingers over the 2 end numbers and say, okay, well, these 2 pair up, these 2 pair up, and it's the value without a partner, right? That's your median. So the median is 8 degrees Celsius. All right, let's try this. Find the median for this hourly set of wages. Okay, let's see. Place them in order. The smallest wage would be $13.25. So that's my first value. I just cross them out as I use them so I don't, so that it makes it easier for me to see what I have left over. And then it would be $14.25. And then it's going to be $14.50. And then the next one would be $17. And then the next one is $18.50. And then $19. I should write this, place the numbers in order. Okay, that's our first job. All right, this time I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have an even set of values. So I'm not going to have a middle value. Watch this. These two pair up. Okay, these two pair up. And then these two pair up. And there's no value without a partner. When we have an even set of values, I have to take these two middle values, and then the median will be, the median equals, okay, we're going to do the skill we just did. I have to find the mean of these two, meaning I'm just finding the average or the mean of these two numbers. Exactly what we did on the previous page, right? I'm going to add the two middle values, because in this case there's two middle values, mean of those two middle values. So I add up two values and I'm going to divide by 2 because there's only two pieces of numbers here. So I'm going to add up $14.50 and $17 and divide that by 2. So I get 31.5 divided by 2. That gives me 15.75. So when we have an even set of numbers, like numbers that pair off, we end up doing a median and a mean kind of in the same question, right? So this is the median value, 15.75. So we started out by ordering, we paired them up, we found out there was no middle value. So I take the last two numbers that pair up in the middle, add them up and divide by 2. Okay. Let's find the median for this. Okay, this is a tough one. The word frequency, now these aren't a set of 6 numbers. It means age of the student and the frequency. This is a frequency chart. The data is given to you in a different way. This means the frequency is the number of times the value occurs. So what this really means is, this chart really means I have the age of the student and that age occurs 3 times. So this chart actually means this group of data is actually, okay, so what this really means is there's not 125. Frequency of 3 means it's 25, 25, 25. There's 3 of them. And there's 3 26s, 26, 26, 26. And there's 7 27s, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I should have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There are 13 values in total. Okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I have them all represented here. So now let's find if it's an odd number, so there should be a middle value. So let's pair them off. These two are paired off, and then these two, and then these two, these two, these two, these two, and the middle value, the one who's left alone at the end, is this 27. So I say The median value is 27. So the median, if you have an odd number, you don't have to do any arithmetic. You just have to order and count. It's not difficult to find the median. It just takes a while, right? It takes a while because you have to order the data, make sure it's in order, and then do a fair bit of counting, okay? You can see that the way I did it was okay this time, but if this is called a frequency chart, and it's used when you have large numbers of data. For example, them just writing that there's 727 is a way quicker way to write this whole list out. So you can see how a frequency list would come in handy when you have groups of data, like with thousands or even millions of group of data. You probably wouldn't write down, if this was the age of all Canadians and we were tracking the ages of all Canadians, you wouldn't write 5 million 27-year-olds. You wouldn't write 27 5 million times. You would probably say you'd have the category 27 like it is here, and you'd have 5 million in frequency. It's just an easier way to present and understand the data. Okay, so that's the median. Let's do the last measure of central tendency that we're going to talk about today, and it's called the mode. Now, this, again, doesn't involve any math. It doesn't involve any formulas or mathematics. The mode is the piece of data that repeats most often in a group. So it's the one with the most values. In our previous example, that example 5, when we're talking about the median, 27 would have been the mode because it occurred 7 times, right? More than any other value. Let's see what the mode is for example 6. State the mode for these weights. Okay. Sometimes I have to order them and sometimes I don't, but I have a 4, an 8, a 12. Okay, I have another 8. Okay, I have 2 8s, but I end up having 3 4s and 1 6. State the mode for these weights. Excuse me. The mode is 4 grams, because it occurs 3 times, right? There are 3, 1, 2, 3. It occurs the most, right? The 8 repeats itself like it has 2 entries, but 3 is bigger than 4, so it 3 times is more than 2 times. I mean, so the 4 is called the mode, and that's it. That's all the mode is. So the mode is just really reading the data closely and looking to see who the most popular member is, right? You would say 4 is the most popular number in this group because it occurs 3 times. It occurs the most. Determine the mode for the following cost of shoes. Okay, let's see. We have a 24. Sometimes it helps if you order your data. So maybe I'll do that, kind of like I'm doing, just because when the numbers get a little, then I have 1, 2, 3 51s. I could have done that for this one too, right? And then I have a 77, 78, and a 193. Again, this is the process I would use to find the median. I'm looking for the mode, but ordering the data helps with the mode too. So let's see, these guys only occur once. He occurs twice, but he occurs 3 times. So the mode is 51. And it's as easy as that. All right, let's try this one. Oh, this is nice because they've already listed the values in order. State the mode for the following. I have 3 9s, only 2 10s, and I have 3 12s. Okay. Because they repeat themselves the same number of times, they both kind of win for the most repeats. There are 2 modes. 9 and 12, because they're tied, right? They both repeat themselves 3 times. Okay. When there's a tie for the most, then they are both regarded as the modes. So you can have more than one mode, which is kind of interesting, right? What about this one? Find the mode for the following data set. So let's see, I have 13, 17, 15, 20, 23. There are no repeats in data. There are no repeats in data. So there is no mode. So I'm going to let that sink in for a minute. We've seen that we can have one mode. Like for example, in examples 6 and 7, there was just one mode. In example, 2 different modes, or we can have no modes. So the lesson to take away from that is we can have 0 mode, 1 mode, or we can have several modes. Let's take a look at example 10, the last example on this page. The data in the table shows the number of different kinds of kids' bikes sold at a bike shop last week. Would you use the mean, the median, or the mode to determine what was the most popular? Well, these are the bike names. These are the numbers sold. This is kind of a funny name for a bike. The Crunchy Cookie had 13 bikes were sold. So that would be the mode, right? The mode tells us the most repeated value. In this case, it means the bike that was sold the most. The bike that is sold the most is the most popular one. So if you're looking for popularity, you're looking for the mode, okay? So the answer is the mode. This is like a frequency table, right? It gives you the article, the item, and how many times it was sold, how many times it occurred in their cash register receipts, I suppose. This Devastator occurred 9 times, Crunchy Cookie 13, Air Force One 5, Speed Demon 11. So the Crunchy Cookie is the most popular. It has the highest number of times it was sold, therefore it's called the mode. All right, so that leads us to the assignment, which is kind of a large assignment, right? It's a very big assignment, to be honest. I'm going to get you to start working on that, and I'm going to give you tomorrow's class to work as well. So tomorrow is also a work class. Okay, so if there's no questions, I just had Tim chiming in at the beginning and no other questions. I'll stay on. I'll stay open for a couple more minutes. If there's any questions at all, please let me know. Okay, I will see you tomorrow then. And remember, there's a Google Meet at 10 in the morning as well that you can pop in and get help with or for too.